Have you been thinking about going solar, but just have too many questions and don't know where to go next? Well, you're going to want to stay tuned for this next video with Ken Weiss of People's Power. He is our solar expert, and I am almost certain all of your questions, well, most of them, will be answered. And do me a favor, like this video and subscribe to this channel. We would really appreciate it. Have a great day. So here to talk about the new information and a recent bill that just passed is my friend, past client, and solar expert, Ken Weiss with People's Power. Hi, Ken.
Hi, how are you?
Thanks for coming in today. I'm really excited to have you share with the public all the new information about solar that's taking place.
No, I actually really appreciate your time, taking the time out to bring me in and talk about this. There's a lot going on right now, obviously with solar, so I don't know, the ones that are possibly might be on the fence with it. I think it's really good information. Yeah, so the bill has already passed through the House, and basically what this bill is doing, it's eliminating all the tax credits for solar energy, which, it's a big thing. And it's funny is when I actually talk to people about solar energy and tax incentives, some of them think it's already went away, where really, yeah, it really hasn't went away yet. Although I think this is a pretty serious bill. So there's a 30% tax credit available to homeowners going solar. And what this bill, the way it's written as of right now, it's going to be eliminated by the end of the year.
So that's like 6 months away. It's going away.
6 months away now.
Potentially,
right? Because we can't say for sure it's going away.
When will we know for sure?
Well, they're saying by July 4th, this bill should be passed.
Okay.
So we don't know the exact changes of what's going to happen in the bill. It is in the Senate's hands now, and I know they've already looked into as far as the verbiage of the tax credits, and I know they're manipulating them a little bit.
Okay.
But really, the way it stands right now, it looks like it might pass. If it passes exactly the way it is, it's going away 100% by the end of the year. You have to think about a solar system. The average tax credit that people are getting is about $9,000 to $10,000. That's a big chunk of money.
A lot of money.
Yeah. So that's something potentially that can be pretty much just lost from a homeowner not actually moving forward on a solar project.
Right. Especially those who've been on the fence, guilty of that for the last few years, just putting it off, thinking it's always going to be there. Now, if you've been thinking about solar, like we have, you probably need to take action, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even only taking the action, just get yourself more educated about it, because sometimes you might not have all the facts of what's going on, especially what's happening in the utility world, as well as the government, as far as the incentives, and have all the facts in front of you so you can also make that intelligent decision and know, is this right for you or it's not right for you?
Well, that's a good question. So are there some people that solar just isn't good for, and who is it good for?
For the most part, solar is pretty much a win-win for everybody. You got to make sure the system is built correctly for that person, because everyone uses power a little differently.
Right.
If you own a home, you can go solar. If you own a condo, as long as you own the roof, you can go solar. Manufactured homes will qualify for solar. So there's all these different things that people don't realize that, hey, maybe I can get solar. A utility, you're kind of married to that utility forever until you decide, hey, I'm going to sell this home, or whatever you may be doing with that.
I had mentioned earlier that a lot of times the way I explain it to my clients or just friends, whoever, is, look, we're paying money every month to TEP, so we could instead move those funds over to a solar purchase or lease, right? So with TEP, there's no end date. It's infinite. But with solar, there is an end date.
Not only you get to actually have an end date, and taking control of your actual utility bills. When you're hooked up to that utility, like you said, it's not only never ending, it's also always increasing. I've never really seen a utility company say, hey, by the way, we really like you. We're going to go ahead and lower your rates. What generally is happening is these utilities are building more and more infrastructure. Infrastructure is getting old, so they have to also service the infrastructure. And who's going to pay for that? Ratepayers. Right. So what happens is when you go solar, the other advantage is you're not obligated to all their rules and regulations anymore. I mean, you are technically, because you'll always be hooked up to that grid. But if you're producing your own power, the only power that you're responsible from that utility is the power you use from them. So if you lower that power bill, your obligation to that utility basically drops down to almost nothing.
Okay. Earlier, you had mentioned another benefit or feature that was coming up from TEP about involving batteries and them using our batteries.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so Tucson Electric Power just launched a program because they wanted to figure out a way, how can they capture more energy without building more infrastructure? Tucson and surrounding areas, Pima County, we have a problem with using way too much power, and the infrastructure is not strong enough to support all that power. This is the first time in history that I know of that a utility has done this.
Wow.
We're going to start incentivizing homeowners who add batteries to either existing systems, or you can build a system and have batteries, and allowing Tucson Electric Power to pull energy from your own power sources, right? Which eliminates their maintenance costs, eliminates their infrastructure costs, pay you up to $800 a year for this program, which is a win situation for the homeowner. It's a win situation for TEP. They don't have to spend those, I don't know the exact figure, but I know it's probably hundreds of millions of dollars that they spend on infrastructure all the time. They get to eliminate a lot of that. The homeowner still gets to use their energy for the battery when they need it, and then TEP will get to use it when they need it. And as they pull that power, they're going to pay you generously.
Wow, that sounds amazing. To me, it's a way of offsetting the expense of the solar on an annual basis.
Absolutely, it'll pay for the batteries.
Wow, oh, that's great news. What we've learned personally is, again, you mentioned a little bit ago that if you need a new roof or HVAC, that there might be some additional benefits in going solar, or doing it at the time you go solar.
There is definitely benefits. I'm going to start off by saying I'm not a CPA by any means. I've just been in this industry for many, many years. What happens is, when, let's say you need roof work, right? You want to go solar. Roofs are not cheap these days. We know this, right? And if you can save money,
take it from me.
If you can save money any way you possibly can, obviously you want to do that. The way to do this is, if you need roof work.
And doesn't the solar company do an inspection before doing this? Okay.
Yes, we'll fully inspect the roof, make sure that the roof is capable. It doesn't only apply to the roof, like you were saying, other areas of the house. Sometimes when you do solar, you need electrical work. You know, sometimes your main panel where all those circuits are, sometimes those need to be upgraded. It's just maybe an older house and don't know, but that 30% tax credit will actually apply to that additional work that is needed on that home, which is really nice. So
but there's a limit.
There's not necessarily a limit. If there's work needed, it can possibly be rolled into the project. Always seek counsel with your CPA if you're doing other work on the house or things like that. You did mention air conditioning and things like that. And yeah, these are all things that can qualify for different programs. TEP, by the way, also, just so you're aware, when you install car chargers, when you install air conditioning and things like that, the utility is actually going to give you rebates and things. So I don't know if you knew about all those incentives as well. Yeah,
I did not, especially this moment we're considering an electric car. So it's all good information. If somebody's considering going solar, is there a checklist? What things should they consider to prepare for it, or to explore the idea of going solar?
Really, the best thing to do is have your utility bill ready. We'll take
past 12 months, or
I mean, if they have it, some homeowners will just move into a property, which is fine as well. If they just move in, we can really take historical data and figure out what that house is going to use based on your lifestyle, based on the home, year, size, things like that. But really, the best advice is have your utility bill ready. We can figure out what you've used for the past year. Are your needs changing? Are you going to be adding electric vehicles? Are you going to be having more people in the home? Like, what is your lifestyle? And we can literally customize everything to your lifestyle. And again, sometimes solar is not a great fit for everybody. You just have to look at every situation different. And you mentioned earlier what they call them now is TPO projects, which is third-party ownership. And that's maybe for people who might not qualify for all the tax credits or really just, they don't want to deal with anything. They're just going to always buy electric from, let's say, the utility company. This is a way to buy electric from your rooftop at a lower fixed cost. So there's different ways of doing it.
We mentioned that this may be coming to an end at the end of 2025, the tax credits. I mean, how soon should somebody prepare for solar if this is something they definitely want to do?
It's a great question. If you're thinking about solar and you're concerned about possibly losing these tax credits, I wouldn't wait. Here's my reasoning. Usually a solar project just on its own will usually take 60 to 90 days, okay? But
wow, I did not know that.
That's a normal project, right? As far as getting it installed on a roof, it's a day to 2 days. But to get to that point, it takes time, right? What's going to happen is, as this bill is going through the Senate, and as things are happening, whether it passes, whether it doesn't pass, people are going to start jumping on this to get in line for solar. And not only will that back up the solar companies for install dates, it's also going to back up, there's other things, permitting, utility departments, which utilities take time anyways. So you want to be in front of the line. You don't want to be at the end of the line.
Right. Plus, if there's inspections from the solar company, it sounds like, I mean, those have to be coordinated.
Yes.
An appointment to come to the house, like with us, and then the 3 different roofers or whatever the case was to inspect and then give reports, and then there's decision-making process between the household members. So
it takes time.
It takes time.
It takes time. Bottom line, it takes time. Yeah, I mean, usually, by the time when you get to the first site inspection of the property, all the way through engineering and permitting and utility approvals and everything else that goes with it. HOAs as well, like we can handle HOAs. It's the myth that HOAs out there will not allow solar. There's US legislation out there that basically says HOAs have no regulation over solar. The only thing that they have regulation over is to make sure, if whatever color the house is, paint the conduit, which is the metal coming down from the roof, the same color as the wall.
Oh, okay.
That's all they can regulate for the most part.
Good news. Good news. Finally, the HOAs don't have control. So Ken, one other question just came to mind.
You got it.
And I know that homeowners are going to be asking this, like we were at the time. Oh, we're going to be selling our home. And so I'm concerned about bearing the expense now. And then what happens when I go to sell it? Who's going to pay for that?
Yeah, so that is actually a great question. And it's definitely always been a concern of homeowners of what are we going to do if we need to sell the home and we go solar? As you noticed, and I'm going to ask you personally as a realtor, have you noticed more and more homes that you're showing have solar on them?
100%. I recently had a client in my car for about a week. We looked at several homes, and I promise you at least 50% of the homes we looked at had solar, but I want to lean more towards 75%. I don't want to commit to that, but at least 50% of the homes we looked at had owned solar.
So right there alone will tell you, okay, solar is a very acceptable thing in this marketplace. And my own personal experiences, which you've actually been my realtor, Michelle's been my realtor. I've already had 3 homes that I've had solar on, and I've sold these homes through Michelle, and it's really an easy process. I think what happens is you overthink the process when you're a homeowner going, what am I going to do? And people actually are very open to the solar, and they like the idea of saving money, and they like the idea of possibly ownership. Or even on the third-party ownership, where they know that they have a payment that's locked in, and it just transfers a title. It's not really a debt that attaches to the house, which we didn't talk about this either. There's no liens on a home when you go solar if you finance the system, or even if you lease the system. There's nothing attached to that home. There's what's called a UCC1, and that's a utility lien, and that's just on the equipment. It's like, let's say hypothetically, you bought a car. Right? And you finance that car. They're not going to attach a lien to your home for the car, but they will attach it to the car because you don't own that car yet, right? But what happens, I'm going down these rabbit holes. I apologize. Back to the ownership and selling the home. Like I said, let's say you have a payment on that solar system. All that has to happen is that will transfer that payment over to the new homeowner, and they continue where you left off. Super easy.
Which is where it comes into play that I said you're either going to pay TEP or you're going to pay the solar financing company. One has no end and the other has an
Right,
end,
and you're locked in.
Yeah,
and
you're locked in.
You're locked into an actual payment. Like, you can't go to your utility company and go, hey, I want you to lock in my payment and please don't change my payment for the next 20 years. They're going to laugh at you. They're going to say, no way. Doing this, not only do you have the comfort of knowing exactly what you're going to pay every month, like you said, you're going to have also the comfort of having a date where it ends and you go, I have no more payment and I have free electricity.
It all sounds a little complicated. So could you give us how to reach you if we have questions? If anybody out there is just like, oh, something that you said resonated with me and maybe this is for me.
Sure, there's a couple of ways.
Okay.
One way, obviously, they can just go right to our website, which is peoplespower.solar.
Okay.
The other way, I'll be happy to share my direct line and answer questions in any form that I can, which is 520-248-5789.
But the bottom line is, now is the time to get informed. If you're thinking about solar, you need to reach out and get your questions answered. And Ken is your expert. And so he's already given you his contact information. Please reach out to him and or me, your real estate professional, with any other questions that might affect you. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And take it from me, Steve and I are going solar with Ken, and it's about to happen as soon as we have the roof bid. So if you want to know more about how that's going with us, feel free to reach out to me, 520-800-8766, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Michelle.
Thank you.